被災地を訪問するのは初めてだったので、行く前はとても緊張感がありました。
Reflecting on natural disasters and their prevention with Mr. Yuzuru Hanyu, special news envoy for each. For the second time, Mr. Hanyu visited the area affected by heavy rain in Kumamoto 3 years ago and interviewed the evacuees. This May, Mr. Hanyu visited the Kuma River, which flows through Hiroyashi City and Kuma Village in Kumamoto Prefecture. The Kuma River flooded due to heavy rain 3 years ago. Great damage has been done. Mr. Hanyu. I can't imagine how calm this scenery really is. Power pylons near the river showed water levels flooded by heavy rains 3 years ago. Mr. Hanyu. There are so many. This site sank into the water by 3 meters 80 centimeters. Mr. Hanyu. I can't put it into words. The railway station was also badly damaged. Mr. Hanyu. Like this. It still lies, and the grass is wrapped around it, and it feels like it was left as it is. Pillars and houses destroyed by the flood. The claw marks were dark. There are no prospects for the restoration of the railway yet. Heavy rain in Kumamoto on July 4, 2020. NNN reporter Shinji Kanzaki. I can see that he is submerged in water as far as the eye can see. In Kumamoto Prefecture, about 4,600 houses were completely or partially destroyed. 67 people died, including as a result of a natural disaster. In May of this year, Mr. Chania visited a woman who had moved to high ground after her house in Kuma village was completely destroyed. Mr. Hanyu. Hello, nice to meet you. I am Hanyu. Nice to meet you. Yumiko Nakagami. No. What should I do? Mr. Hanyu. Don't worry about it, it's alright. Yumiko Nakagami is a little nervous. She showed me a photo album of what happened that day. Mrs. Nakagami. I'm in tears. This is a picture of the flood. Mrs. Nakagami said he watched she's house flood from a hill. Water from 1 to 2 floors of the house. I completely lost sight of him. Mrs. Nakagami. I didn't think my house would leak in the blink of an eye when the water gradually rises. The footage from that time shows that only the frame remained of Nakagami's house, where he lives alone. The house where I was born and raised is filled with many memories. Mrs. Nakagami. After the water receded, everything was like this. It was unbearable. My house is no more. Nothing has ever been so hard. I cried all the time for a year. All household items and family heirlooms were washed away. In the timetable of that time, the day all memories were washed away. Mrs. Nakagami. Just my car and my life. I've lost everything important. Mr. Hanyu. I really understand how important this is, including the memories that are there. Items that are lost cannot be returned. Before the flood, they showed me the village where Mr. Nakagami lived. Mr. Hanyu. No trace of the house is visible. Mrs. Nakagami. Yes, they are just blocks. All that's left. The houses that used to stand in a row are no longer there, only the foundation remains. Nevertheless. Mrs. Nakagami. People are really surprised that there were no casualties. 0 casualties due to unprecedented flooding. I had advice that saved my life. Mrs. Nakagami's house was washed away in heavy rain in Kumamoto 3 years ago. The village where Mrs. Nakagami lived is adjacent to the Kuma River. Most of the houses were damaged by the flood. However, there were no casualties. I asked Mr. Toshiaki Yamaguchi, the narrator of the flood damage to the village, why. Mr. Yamaguchi. It's raining like you've never seen before. I have asked you to evacuate to high ground immediately. Yamaguchi urged the neighbors to evacuate to higher ground. There were no casualties, because most people had evacuated to higher ground before the flood. It was the wisdom of the village of Kuma, who lived by the river. Mr. Yamaguchi. Rivers are essential to our life. The village of Kuma, which has been hit by floods in the past, has been focusing on disaster prevention for some time. The community center has a hazard map, and you can check the dangerous places in the area. Mr. Hanyu. It's easy to understand if you can separate them by color like this. In the village, disaster prevention activities are planned in chronological order, anticipating natural disasters in advance. Once a year, evacuation exercises are held for all residents of the village. Evacuation saved the lives of many people. The people who coexisted with the river want to convey their thoughts. Mr. Yamaguchi, I think the most important thing is to tell your family what situation you should be evacuating in, as well as tell the community about it, and repeat the exercises. Mrs. Nakagami, life protection action is good if you really protect your own life. That's all. Mr. Hanyu, the area where Mr. Nakagami lived was told that he could not live there because of the waterfront. He said that there is. Caster Fuji, 3 years have passed since the flood in 5 days, but 10 bridges were washed away in the Kuma River basin. Only 4 of them were restored or temporary bridges were built. 35% of the buildings were damaged. 309 people lived in temporary housing as of the end of May. Mr. Hanyu, I feel like the recovery is still halfway there. I felt that support was needed. Caster Fuji, on the other hand, there was also a lesson in evacuation. Mr. Hanyu, yes. I realized that if I prepared properly for flood damage, I could save my life. I thought I should think carefully and survive. However, if anyone knows how to evacuate, including myself, I don't think. Caster Fuji, actually, this time I would like to check if the area I am in is safe or dangerous, using the danger map. Please enter the address of Nippon Television. Mr. Hanyu, yes. Caster Fuji, there's a flag on the screen where the Nippon Television building is. Next, select the flooding mark. Mr. Hanyu, yes. Caster Fuji, then pink and yellow colors were added around the NTV building where the flag was raised. This represents the risk level of flooding. Mr. Hanyu, what about NTV? Mr. Hanyu, he's not colored. Caster Fuji, that's right. The area around NTV is not colored. Now remove flood and select storm surge. What happened to the area around NTV? Mr. Hanyu, colorful, that means there's a typhoon, and in that case there's a chance of flooding. Caster Fuji, correct. Since the sea is close, there is also a risk of flooding from storm surge. It is important to evacuate to a safe, unpainted area before danger approaches. If there is an evacuation center or community center nearby, if you do not have such a place, this may be a hotel with the strongest steel grater or a friend's house. In the unlikely event that it is already flooded, you can also choose a vertical house evacuation. Please evacuate to the top floor of a building as strong as possible, such as steel. Mr. Hanyu, we need to think about where we will evacuate to before disaster strikes. Caster Fuji, yes. The timing of evacuation is also important. Alert Level 5. Securing an emergency is a situation in which a disaster has already occurred or is imminent, and lives are in danger. Evacuate before reaching this Level 5. You can check the alert level by TV or disaster prevention app on your smartphone. Mr. Hanyu, I think it's important to gather information yourself. Everyone, please take this opportunity to check the hazard map and attachments, and think about how to evacuate. There may or may not be actual damage. In vain, it is important to evacuate. I want to know. Caster Fuji, we are currently seeing a lot of rain and rainfall in Kyushu. The recovery from heavy rains in Kumamoto is still ongoing, but we can support the affected areas through donations and the hometown tax. We will need money. Yuzuru Hanyu. Thoughts I want to convey. Mr. Hanyu will appear several times a year. Hanyu, thank you for this time. Mr. Hanyu, thanks a lot.